going to say again, the UK market has become very, very simple, vanilla, and
Yeah.
transparent.
Yeah.
The American barriers, I think we've seen one or two contracts with American option barriers
Hmm.
in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
They have been pretty much phased out. The charges that are declared on our key features documents are
Hmm.
confusing.
Yeah.
There's change afoot in that regard. But even when we have the standardized documentation, we end up with a situation where we can have two banks striking a contract on the same day with an identical payoff structure, and yet one's disclosing a fee which is substantially higher than the other.
Hmm.
Now, at the end of the day, if I'm comfortable with both banks, that fee, or their calculation of that fee shouldn't play a part.
Hmm.
But when it comes to assessing from an advisor's perspective and trying to tell the client, well, okay, this one's got a 3% total charge in there, and this one's got a
Yeah.
2%, it adds confusion.
Yeah, I
So,
can see.
um,
Yeah.
a falling credit rating is going to be the main red flag.
Hmm.
The structure of the contracts, all of the nasty stuff that used to happen 25 years ago, where we would have an extended settlement period, both before and after, worst of, based on the lowest index position intraday over a 30-day period, that sort of thing, long gone. This is a very clean vanilla sector.
Yeah.
That said, we do have some triple index contracts. There's quite a lot of dual index contracts.
Hmm.
There is a large number of decrement indices that come and go. I think explaining the index and its impact is
Hmm.
expertly done by some people,
Yeah.
but this is where a lot of clients might just end up trusting the advisor. Some of the decrement indices I find, I don't think they should be used in retail space.
Yeah. Yeah.
Others like the CSDI, I think should be extremely common.
Okay. 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 Look, let's talk about the future. And you mentioned these, right? There is mergers happening and consolidation happening on the advisor firms. What do you think it's going to happen with less advisory firms and those getting bigger and bigger?
I think streamlined process,
Hmm.
centralized investment propositions, all coming to the fore. Um, that will allow less individualism by an advisor. And in the UK space, with the plan model
Hmm.
that we currently have, with occasional or regular issuance, um, clients getting the advice that is relevant at the time, and the propositions and the offers that are relevant at the time, perhaps doesn't fit in a larger model.
Yeah.
So I think we will see a greater move towards funds, a greater move towards discretionary portfolios,
Yeah.
structured discretionary portfolios, which take away a lot of the pain, but they also lose some of the nuanced benefits of the structures that everything which is a benefit sometimes comes with a cost, but having to see 200 clients who all have the same investment, in having to roll that over on an advice basis is something that you need a bit of a machine to operate. And we had a large workforce that were working around the clock to try and
Yeah.
ensure that everything was done on time. That's not going to work in a bigger organization.
No, but are we moving towards a model portfolio that includes structured products or
I think a lot of model portfolios will already include structured products in various elements, whether the advisors understand that or not. Having a segregated part of that model portfolio, which is dedicated to structures, it will need to be in a form which is manageable for that model portfolio. A series of individual autocalls is not going to fit that model. So
no?
therefore, we move to, and we're going to allocate to structures, we're going to use a fund, or we're going to use another element of a discretionary service, which is going to provide that exposure.
But but can't technology help, right? That adoption and the increase the sophistication as well the let's say the personalization, right? For clients, for investors.
It's going to have a benefit. The short-term adoption in the UK of structures in model portfolios in their current individual form, with or without technology, I think is just a barrier too far. And as I say, having individual structures has other benefits to the client and the client relationship and their relationship with their portfolio. Once it's lost in a model or even lost in a fund, they no longer get the personal pleasure of and the ability to being forced to make a decision as to whether I'm going to reinvest some or all of the capital, take some gains, etc. That part of the relationship and the client's relationship with the portfolio will disappear if
Yeah.
we're not using individual plans.